Cows to be the boss. What's up? It's DJ and one. Today, we're gonna make a Toneplay edit. Dude, I just need like an IV drip of coffee and caffeinated beverages. Oh yeah, so now that the new year is upon us, I'm going to start doing lessons. Yes, so I told some people I was going to be doing lessons just to help them out with making DJ edits. But if you yourself would like to learn how to make DJ edits, I'm actually going to put a link in the description. I'm going to put a link somewhere. So I'll put a link in the description box. So if you guys are interested in making edits more seriously, we're trying to learn some new tricks and stuff that I've learned over the years of making edits, you can fill out the form below, and then I'll reach out to you guys if you want to learn how to make DJ edits. But enough of the self-promo mumbo jumbo. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're inside Ableton. I'll give you guys a little preview of what we are working with today. Absolute zinger. Okay, so I just did a Toneplay edit based off of the themes from Atom Family. Adams? Yeah, Adams Family. Pretty classic tune there, very holiday themed, holiday centric. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to sample that melody, sort of recreate it, and then use a popular sound or noise that people know to then give it sort of like a cool Halloween intro. Because usually you just hear like spooky, like thriller vocals over some instrumental beat, but I wanted something to be a little more unique, a little more turntablist centric focused. So this is what I was going for. I didn't actually use this at all. I just used this as a reference point, which I'll explain more later. But I chopped up the sample over here, the snaps, so I just wanted to keep those. So I had those, and then I added a little bit of reverb on the last snap to sort of help with the transition. Just a touch there. So if you're using just a standard default reverb, you could also just turn it on or off by automating it by right-clicking on the on or off button. Or you can then play with the decay and then automate the dry wet if you want to do it that way. No, I'm not some extremely knowledgeable person when it comes to music theory, things of that nature. I can't hear a song and I just can't know. I'd be like, oh, they're playing B flat or A sharp or whatever that is. But if you use Spectrum, wherever the highest point is on Spectrum, if you see in the bottom left corner here how it says F1, that's actually the note that is playing. So you can use Spectrum to find out what notes are being played. So if I just spaz out on the first note here, it looks like F is the first note that is being played. And let's see what I ended up playing first. F, yep, see? So you can use Spectrum to then find the notes that are being played. Or if it's like a very common melody, things that are really popular, you can also just freaking go Adams Family Piano. Easy, because we want it to be easy. And they literally have freaking piano tutorials on there that show you how to play the piano of the actual song, note for note. So how I made this was I inserted a MIDI track. So you can right click here on the tracks and you can click insert MIDI track, or if you do command shift, or was it shift command T, then you can insert a MIDI track that way as well. Now, once I dropped in a MIDI track, I dropped in under instruments, there should be something called Simpler. Simpler is basically just like a smaller version of sampler. So then you can take a sound, chop it up, pitch it, sort of play with it, and automate it and change it the way you want it to sound. But since it's just a simple Toneplay edit, I didn't have to change too much with any sort of release, sustain, effects, things of that nature. I just dropped the original song into Simpler. And then right here you see I have this magnifying glass icon. you can click and then zoom in. If you have a trackpad, you can just push down on the trackpad and then that zooms in. And then I just rotate it over, and then I use these arrow bars here. They typically start on the end of Simpler, and then you can use these arrow bars to then single out the section that you would like to use in your piano roll. So in this top section, you have sample and controls. So a sample, it just shows you the actual samples itself on a zoomed in level, so you can chop it up the way you want to. But controls get a little more specific. So I actually got lucky here in the first note in Laffy Taffy is C, so I didn't have to transpose the sample at all. Because on piano roll, when you play C3, that's going to be the first, or the sound that is sampled at its regular pitch. So if Laffy Taffy, let's say the first note is F, right? If I play C3 on the MIDI keyboard, the note will actually be F. So it's important to transpose your samples so that when you're playing C3, it's actually playing the note C. It's not playing the note F when you're playing C, or playing E when you're playing D. You know what I'm saying? Let's say, hypothetically speaking, your first note is F. The samples note is F. So you would want to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you would transpose it -5 so that your sample is then hitting on C, hitting on D, hitting on E whenever you hit those selected notes. So before you start playing your melody or anything like that, you want to make sure you chop it up the way you want it, and then you want to transpose the actual sample itself so that it's accurately reflecting what you're playing on the keyboard. And the last thing I did here was I just created a reverse sweep. So I did that by taking a section of Laffy Taffy here. So I'll just chop this and make a separate audio track so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So if you chop up the sample you want, and you grab a reverb, and you turn the decay time and the dry wet all the way up, you get this really, really long sort of effect. Good Lord, that goes on forever. And once you have that really long effect, you would just freeze track. So by right-clicking on the audio track, hit freeze track, then right-click again and hit flatten. You would just reverse it. And that's how I was able to recreate that riser. Then I just added a little bit of reverb on the effect here, and then I did a volume automation. And lastly, I just put a limiter on the master here, adjusted the release and the gain just to make sure I wasn't losing any loudness. And if you complete all of these steps, you should have a Toneplay edit that sounds like this. I should probably turn on all of the sounds, because that's what makes the edit possible, is if you have all of the sounds on, because I'm an idiot. Alrighty, ladies and gents, that wraps it up for today's video. Hopefully you learned something new. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, all of that good stuff, so I can just keep making more videos. That's how I know that you guys want more videos, is all the times you guys comment, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. That gives me motivation to keep going, making more videos for you. But next week, we're going to be making a video on something, because that is the whole point of this YouTube channel. Stupid. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about how I brand my edits. So what I do and how I sort of like package them, tag them, put them together. So not only are they organized, but then it's in like a professional sort of way that you can then send off to record pools for submissions and submission links that they have if you're interested in getting your edits on different record pools. Other than that, enjoy your week. Tell someone you love them, all of that good stuff. And I'll be back next week with another video.